Hello and welcome to Examined, the podcast by Kryterion. I'm David McHardy. I'm a customer success manager and marketing specialist based here in London, and I'll be your host for today's episode. Today, we're going to be diving into the world of certification, how to create a great program, how to scale your certification program, and pick up some tips and tricks on the way from two experts that have been there and done it all before. The first of my guests opposite me is Peter Manijak, a highly regarded expert in our industry, strategist, consultant, and author of the book, Everything You Need to Know About Certification. Peter has worked with some of the largest names in technology, launched some of the largest programs, such as Magento, which had a revenue of $1.2 million in the first year. I'm sure that's a record, Peter. More recently, you've worked with the company Hyvä, who are the hottest thing in the world of e-commerce, and Magento on their new program. And you are also a non-executive director at EMEA Enterprise here in Europe.
A company, a small, they're going to keep growing. A company called Hyvä.
Yeah.
They do front-end Magento e-commerce.
They're a huge deal. I was recently at a Meet Magento event, and these people are the hottest thing in that world of e-commerce. They've recently announced that their new Hyvä themes is going to become open. Hyvä.
People want to say Hyvä because the way it's spelled, but it is Hyvä. It took me a while to learn it.
But they're about to launch Hyvä themes as open source, which is a huge thing for their community, and we are thrilled that firstly you brought them to us, and we're thrilled to host their exams as well.
Yeah, one of the things is that one of the principals over at Hyvä, Vinay Kopp, gave me a call and said, "Hey, Peter, we're having trouble. We really like to launch it. We need your expertise."
Sure.
And so we were able to get together, because I had worked with Vinay for years at Magento for the Magento 2 program. And Vinay is very well known as well, so that helps. But, he understood what gets involved. So we ended up doing an exam development workshop in London.
Yeah.
So we created a couple of exams, both at the associate level and the professional level.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I brought to the equation was, okay, these are all things you need to look at. Get your FAQ file in place. Get your vendor agreements in place. And then it's like, you get Kryterion lined up. Get your contract with Kryterion. Kryterion integrates with Credly for your digital badging.
Sure.
Very easy. What people need to understand is that when people pass the exam, they automatically will get their badge. So it's easy to set up with Kryterion and Credly. And that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right. So, once they decided to move forward, we're able to move very fast. And it's the first time I've ever created 2 exams in a 1-week time period. And it was all because we did it in person.
Yeah.
And so that's a small company that's going to keep growing. Relatively, when I say small companies,
they just celebrated their 5th birthday.
Yeah, and they're growing and growing and growing. Absolutely. And so what I look at is, if you're a 1-person, 2-person shop, you need to have someone like Kryterion on your side, and so it helps to understand how to work with Kryterion. It's not very difficult, but I can accelerate the learning.
Absolutely.
Right?
Sure.
And the thing is, as you have known over the years, I have brought you into several different places.
And they've all been successful.
And they've all been successful, and they've run for years. And so, again, I go back as I can't understand why anybody would not want to use Kryterion.
We appreciate that.
We really do
nice
appreciate it. And one of the things we've done recently with Hyvä is event-based testing. So as well as we spoke about testing online and going to your sort of local test center, we offer event-based testing as well. So events like conferences, user groups, like launch parties, that type of thing, we can facilitate bring your own device, or we work with a vendor. And if you're in like a conference hotel, you can have a sort of separate room, and you can make the most of having your most engaged users in one place and offer to get them certified there and then. And we see we've done this with huge events, with thousands of people, right down to sort of local, regional user group meetings where there's been a handful of people. And one of the things I want to give Hyvä a ginormous shout out for this is they did some testing in Kyiv in Ukraine
Yes.
only a few months ago, and I'm sure you're all aware at the moment with the conflict that's ongoing, people just can't get up and leave. There's a war going on. And so Meet Magento, to support their local developers, held a meeting in Kyiv. And Vinay, who you mentioned, really passionate about helping the Hyvä and Magento community, wherever you sort of find them, really. And if they happen to be in Ukraine, well, Vinay got on the overnight train and went to Ukraine to deliver exams. I've been to Ukraine myself at the start of the year and understand it's no mean feat. You're dealing with, air raid sirens and you're in a conflict zone. Mm-hmm. But that just shows that when people say, oh, can you do event testing? Our event's in London, or we're having an event in Las Vegas. Can you help? We can deliver exams in a war zone. It's fine. We can cope. But, huge kudos to Vinay and everyone at Hyvä for supporting that. I know it meant an awful lot to those Ukrainian developers that were so keen to get certified and learn. So, yeah, hats off to you all there. Thanks both for joining, and we will catch you in the next episode of Examined. Bye-bye.